Hey, I'm Chris. I realized when I finished this video that I didn't actually record a good intro. Okay, so here's the pitch about the Wi-Fi connected trailer lights, or underbelly lights if you prefer. Do you or someone you know want to be able to have lights on the bottom of your trailer? So that's number one. Do you want to be able to control them whether you're standing next to the trailer or if you're 50 feet away or 100 feet away in a different time zone, wherever? Okay. And do you want the connection to be really easy to do? And yeah, there you go. That's the big deal about the Wi-Fi connected lights. So the lights that I'm going to be showing you they're actually designed for installing on a house. If you have a persistent network connection, a T-Mobile home hotspot, or you have Starlink Wi-Fi, or you have a Peplink or something like that. So your trailer always has Wi-Fi ready and available. This sort of setup has a lot of advantages over going with the traditional one that just has a remote control that you can use to control it, or it has a Bluetooth app that you can control on your phone. So with those, you're limited by proximity. And with the Wi-Fi connected ones, you're not limited with proximity. If you have an internet connection, it just works. And then in this case, one of the things that I was looking for with the Wi-Fi connected is I have a bunch of other devices that are using the same app ecosystem. It's, depending on where you look, it's called Tuya, T-U-Y-A, or it's called, oh my gosh, it just went out of my head. I'll put it up on screen right here. It's completely out of my mind. Anyway, so using that app ecosystem, it has a lot of control that you just wouldn't get with the little remote control ones or the Bluetooth. So let's get into it. So for hooking up the lights to the trailer, the lights want 24 volts DC. The 12 volt system obviously doesn't supply that. So in the package, it comes with a AC to 24 volt transformer. That works great. In this case, I want to be able to power it off 12 volts. So this little guy I got on Amazon, it was relatively inexpensive. I think it was under $15. It just needs 12 volts and then it outputs 24. So I cut the end that was on this is the brains of the LED lights. There's a microcontroller and everything else inside of this thing right here. So it just needs 24 volts. So 12 volts go in, 24 volts comes out. There you go. Now that I have this, actually, it should actually be powered up because I'm supplying the 12 volt to the 24 volt to it. I need to get this, because this is what connects up to the actual LED lights. I need to get it to the outside of the coach. I was looking at different ways I could do it. Different people will have different places where they could put something. In this case, there happens to be it's called a gland, the thing that goes outside. There happens to be a gland. It's designed for the hydraulic lines. I'm going to use that because we'll come over here. It's right here. So I can run the control lines out of there and it will come straight on down. Now that's exactly what I need to do. By the way, at least in mine, there's enough space for a fire extinguisher to go inside of the same compartment. Legally, these doors cannot be locked. So no matter what, there's always going to be a readily accessible fire extinguisher on both sides. Super handy. I would highly recommend it. Anyway, I'm going to run the cables out here and they'll be poking out of this guy in just a second. Oh, hello. There we go. This silicone, I'm going to need to repair that. But yeah, This is exactly perfect. It is time to apply these guys. So for this part, this is metal. I'm probably going to come back with some self-tapping screws. But for now, I'm just using the tape, the VHB tape that's on the back of these, and going through and applying them. Up here, when I get to the, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. This stuff. I'm going to be using screws to go in there. And you'll notice I put flashing tape around here to keep mice and stuff out. Let's see how this goes. Right, we are now in the SmartLife app where I have all the different devices that I've configured. I can turn on home or away mode. There's all of my different thermostats. I've got a door sensor, a motion sensor, and some water sensors. But right now we're talking about the trailer lights. So these are the lights that are around the underbelly of my trailer. Okay, in this square guy over here in the corner, that's where you can actually come in here and change the strip length. The particular one that I bought, I'm going to put a link in the video description, is 60 lights long. This came 90 lights long, which meant that the color sequences were ending before they were supposed to. So, going to set that back to 60. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. 60. Cool. Line order, it's just RGB. Cool. I don't need to change anything with that. But, so coming in here and configuring the lights, you can set a specific color. You can choose from some preset colors. There are some combinations, and these are static. So I'll show turning those on in a minute. But also down at the bottom, if I can tap it without, there it is. This is where you have actually the animated ones, and they go around the trailer, starting at the first light and going in the sequence wherever they are. In this case, I have them going down the driver's side, around the back, and then forward along the passenger side. You can also do, if I can tap it, somebody starting a car. You can also, music rhythm, it uses the microphone on my phone to make the lights flash the music. I mean, that's cool. I don't know. It's a thing. Anyhow, let's come back to just the color. We're going to turn it on. And now again, I can select from any color I want. Or I can select from some preset colors. I can change the brightness. You can come in here and say, like, I don't know, I want to do some cool colors, and that will show up on the device. Or I can erase them. I can change how they transition from one to another, kind of like a smoothing algorithm. It's kind of interesting. And then you can select from the different color combinations, okay? Okay, with the scenes, you've got different guys up here where jump down in the list. You can actually add them too. But you'll see how it gives a preview of what they're going to look like. Again, one of the really cool things about this setup that I like really a lot about this is connected directly to my trailer's Wi-Fi. It's not using a Bluetooth function from my phone to the device. So no matter where I am, I can control the thermostats, I can control the lights. It just works really well. So let me stop doing the screen recording, and I'm going to show you what some of the sequence look like on the actual device itself, whatever. Okay. Now, before I go any further, one thing I wanted to talk about was it came with a remote. I don't know why I didn't notice that it came with a remote. Like, there were two boxes inside the main box. I opened up one, and it was the controller thing over there and a power brick. that I've replaced the power brick that it came with that guy. I talked about that earlier. I don't know why I wasn't expecting there to be a remote. This ring doesn't appear to do anything, but you can turn the lights on and off using this remote. This remote is not infrared. It does not actually need to be pointed at that control box. There doesn't need to be a line of sight. I don't know if it's just using a low frequency RF or if it's actually using Bluetooth or what it's, I'm assuming it's a low frequency RF. But it's actually really cool that you can do that. It's very basic, but it totally works. So let's go ahead and hit red. So I'm gonna come over here. So I've got red. I clearly can't see that thing, but I can change the colors using the remote. I can turn it off. I can turn it on. Like, does that actually do anything? Doesn't seem to be. I don't know what this is for. Oh, wow, I've got cool things. Okay. Anyhow, very basic for doing very basic things. But you can also use the app to do things. So I'm going to pause the video and choose one of the cool color things. All right, so the actual string starts right down here, is the very first of the lights. And I just have them into the, I guess, the soft underbelly, the plastic underbelly. I showed earlier me installing one, and they seem to be holding up very well, actually. But because I have it set so that they seamlessly go from one to the other with the right number, in this case, the color sequence is just going around. And it works really well. And if I turn it off, if that works, yeah. I can turn it back on, maybe. Canadian geese above me. There we go. Turned it back on. Same sequence is going. So I'm really impressed with these lights. I have some friends that have installed lights that were a strip, and they were putting it right along the rail here without good effect, without good success, as it were. These guys, they seem to be doing really well. Up here, it's just using the VHB tape on the metal. But as you get further back, it's kind of hard to see. They're actually screwed into the underbelly stuff, and there's the VHB tape. One thing I didn't really note, if I can, oh, you won't even be able to see anything. White. Okay. One thing to note, I shortened the sequence. So the length of this, of these two strings of light was more than what I needed. I measured from the front to the back of my trailer, and then from one side to the other. That gave me the perimeter. Well, I multiplied it by 2. So front to the back, and I actually ran the measuring tape like along everything, or like underneath the axles and stuff like that, so I'd get a better measurement. And then I just, multiplied it by 2. That was the perimeter. Then I measured how long this was and how many lights there were and how big the gap was in between lights. And when all the math was said and done, I needed to shorten the gap between the lights by, it was like 4.12 inches or something like that. I converted that to millimeters and just used a millimeter ruler. I drew 2 lines, overlapped, and put 2 zip ties on there. By doing that ahead of time, I had this all ready to go. And once I had everything ready to go, it's just a piece of cardboard that I folded in half and put a notch in there. I wrapped the lights around here, kind of like you will see people recommending for Christmas lights to put them away properly. I just wanted a way to get them off the ground. I had no idea how useful this was going to be, because when it actually got down to, for instance, this guy right here. Whoop, if I can turn on my light. So to go in between this pipe and the underbelly, it would have been actually really hard to do that with the just sitting there all extended out, what's it called? String of lights. I didn't have to do that. I was able to take the lights wrapped around the cardboard and put them right through there. Same thing went with the going around the axles. So all in all, it turned out to be really easy. It probably took me, I'd say an hour and a half to go around the entire perimeter of the trailer. And it was nighttime at that point. And the lights, I had them on. They worked out just great. Because I started at the front corner, I ended, my midway point was in the back corner over here. And it worked perfectly. The math just worked. It was great. So if you are thinking, hey, it'd be kind of cool to add some lights to the underside of my trailer. And some people are like, why would you do that? That's stupid. That's dumb. That's the sort of thing that silly people do. Oh, I'm too far away for this to work right now. Maybe I need to walk over there. But if you're like, hey, that's dumb, I wouldn't ever do that, clearly this is not for you. And you can go ahead and think that that's just dumb. I like that as we are away from people and not bugging them, and it's not nighttime, it's not time to go to bed, we have the ability to turn on cool lights. We can even turn them on while we're driving down the road, because the network connection that we're using, the InstiConnect, it stays connected while we're driving. And it's the router that we're using. It looks like a PepWave. It can actually use Starlink as well as a backup. Anyway, that's it. That's these lights that you can install into your trailer. They just worked fantastic. I was kind of hesitant. I was looking at the listing and it said Tuya SmartLife, and I'm like, okay, let's take a chance. And it worked out extremely well. I can't be bothered to do a screen recording, so I'm just gonna point my camera at the screen. This is a spreadsheet that I made. I'll just explain what it is. So all this is in inches. So I've got the measurement in inches front to back, side to side. Add those together, multiply it by 2. That's the perimeter. What's half the perimeter? Because in this case, I have 2 strings of lights, and they're both exactly the same length. Okay, how many lights are there? I counted them. There's 30. The number of gaps is the number of lights minus 1. That's easy. Okay. Pitch, when you're measuring the distance in between things, oftentimes you use the term pitch. It is 19.625 inches in between each of the lights. Okay. So the half perimeter divided by the number of lights is 15.1. Okay. So I need to have 15.1 inches from either the beginning of one light to the beginning of the next light, or the center of one light to the center of the other way. Either way, doesn't matter. There needs to be a 15.1 inches between each one. So again, the current distance from the same point on a light to the same point on the next light, 19.625. If I take the half of the perimeter and divide it by the number of lights, so this actually, that number, ignore it. Don't need it. So I need 15.1 inches per light to make it halfway around. So this minus this equals that. So 4.525. I can't be bothered with decimal inches. That's just dumb. So I converted it to millimeters. Like there's even the convert, B13 from inches to millimeters. That's 115 millimeters. Easy enough. I used a caliper for measuring. You use them in engineering when you're trying to measure stuff very precisely. So I just set it to 115 millimeters, and then I drew a line, 2 lines on each of the gaps in between the lights, folded it over, zip tied it, and I was able to do that in the comfort of my house, sitting at a table instead of trying to do that underneath a trailer. That would have been dumb. So there you go. That is how I figured out that I needed to reduce the distance between each of the 30 lights by 115 millimeters in order to make the string of lights be half of the perimeter of the total perimeter of the trailer. Now, because I wasn't going exactly to the edge of the trailer, but also there was weird stuff that was interfering, I didn't have to get exactly right. I just had to get within a couple of inches, assuming that if I needed to close a gap or widen a gap, I could just cut some of the zip ties. And that's exactly what I did. It worked out perfect. All right, just going to follow up. We're here in the trailer. I have the remote, and hey, aside from the loudness out there, the remote works when you're here in the doorway of the trailer. Cool.